Hey y'all. So this year for One Book July, I thought I'd do something a little bit different for me. Last year when I did One Book July, I really needed it. I was trying to figure out what type of planning system I wanted to use, like what kind of planner, whether I wanted to be Traveler's Notebook or Filofax or what. And I was also trying to figure out how to simplify. So I had been color coding with a bunch of different Staedtler pens, and I went down to just one pen. And that was probably the biggest thing for One Book July for me. But this year, I'm in my bullet journal. I'm using one pen, and I have been only using one pen for my everyday planning since One Book July last year. I'm in one notebook for all my main planning, and it is just a notebook. And it's simple. I'm not using stickers or other things added on. This is all that I need for my regular planning. That's not to say this is the only planning type thing that I touch every day. If you watched my video last week, I show you my entire planner collection, and most of them are in use. So for full disclosure, I wanted to show which planners I touch every single day. There are obviously some that I reference occasionally, like my book Filofaxes. Whenever I finish a book or have a book I want to add to my to-read list, I grab those, but it's not a daily thing. And the same goes for all the other planners that I currently use, but I'm not showing right now. So obviously I use my bullet journal, my main planner, every day. I also use my homesteading binder every day, but that's usually literally just seconds, where I record how many eggs we had and what color eggs we had, and if I got anything from the garden or did anything in the garden. So this is just a very quick thing. But I don't want to integrate this in here because it's more long scale, because it's the entire year, and it's so, I don't need to know in my main planner whether we got 2 brown eggs and 1 blue egg in a day. I just don't need to know that. But I do like to keep track of it just to see patterns, ebbs and flows in Our Lady's egg production. So that's the reason this is going to stay separate, but even though I do still reach for it every day. Also my journal. I journal every day in one of the notebooks in here. And I could incorporate that in here, but I like to keep this at home just in case. And also, I sometimes take up a lot of space in journaling, and so I don't want to take up a whole lot of room in my bullet journal with personal journaling. So that's the reason this is going to stay separate during One Book July. And finally, I have my Happy Planner. This, if you don't know, I use for my lectionary for my Bible study, and also for tracking activities with the kids. Let me go through. Okay. So here you can see, if you haven't seen it before, I have for each day, I use the morning, afternoon, and evening, and divide it up by using the the Common Lectionary. I use the morning text, which is usually a psalm, the afternoon, Old Testament, and the evening, a New Testament reading, and then, of course, my Sunday text for the lectionary. And so this is how I do my kind of Bible study every day, that I make sure I'm turning to the Bible 3 times a day, at least. So this I keep separate because, again, it takes up a lot of room, just like my journaling. And it's nice for me to have a separate place for this. Full disclosure, while I love the morning, afternoon, and evening setup, and that I have the space for all this in here, I don't love how big the Happy Planner is. I just don't. I'm not happy in the larger sizes. It's one of the reasons that the Erin Condren didn't do it for me. It's just too big. So I'm trying to decide right now what I want to keep doing. One of my fellow clergy friends had posted a link to a Kickstarter for a planner that's all focused on the lectionary, and so it integrates your weekly planning in with daily scriptures and the daily orders, daily offices. It's kind of made for ministers. There's a full spread on Sunday, and it's really, really nicely set up. And so even though I so don't need another planner, I need another planner like I need a hole in my head, I'm really considering it. If not, they just came out with an academic year one that would start in August, but they also hopefully will have one for next year for 2017. So at the very least, I'm considering that for 2017. So we'll see. But yes, I'm still keeping this one out. But that means this is kind of the crux of my planning system. So anyway, all that to say, for One Book July, I don't really need to there's nothing I really feel a need to consolidate anymore, to simplify. I mean, I'm already just doing pen and paper in just a notebook, not even a designated planner. And it's kind of hard for me to think about how I would simplify this down more. So instead, they introduced a new thing to One Book July where they talk about the project. So I am going to be tackling a project, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But as far as videos, I thought that since I do have everything kind of down to my basics and I know what I need to plan, I would instead for One Book July focus on my core planning. What are the things that I need in order to keep my life functioning? What do I need to stay organized? If I could do away with all these other planners, everything else, what would my single core planning system need in order to keep my life functioning? So I'm going to start off with that next week. But for the project component, if you didn't watch any of the introduction videos from the hosts, because they know a lot of people have already simplified and already are down to their one book and their one pen, for One Book July, they're also doing a project component. So if the thing that you've been putting off for months, maybe even years, that you know you need to get done, this is the time to do it in July. So my thing that I've been putting off, I've worked on it some off and on, but it's still piled up in an embarrassing amount, is dealing with my kids' schoolwork. I have a rising first grader and a preschooler, and they bring home a lot of stuff, a lot of art projects, a lot of worksheets, and some things I can just toss, but especially the art projects, I like to save them in some way, but in a way that doesn't create a bunch of junk in my house. So I have taken the project of what I've done since my oldest was in preschool is to scan all of them or take pictures of them and then save them on the computer and make an album. But let me show you this. I'm filming up in the playroom office so that I can show you this. This is where things currently stand at the end of the school year in summer. This is what I still have left. Sorry for all the wobbliness, but I had to move the tripod and so it's not being as stable anymore. So this pile right here is all just stuff from my oldest. He was in kindergarten this past year, and this is just the stuff from the past couple of months that I haven't gotten scanned. There's a little bit more up there, bulkier stuff that I can't scan and need to take pictures of. Also, in this back corner here, that's what's left of my preschoolers' school stuff that I haven't scanned yet. So there's a lot of paper, and especially in this, a lot of these were just folders that were sent home. And so I still have to go through them and see what's really worth scanning and saving and what I can just get rid of. So this is my project for July because it bums me out. We're currently building an addition, so I will have a separate office and desk space. But this bums me out to have this clutter in the corner when it could be a nice, clean space. So before we get through I want to make sure that none of this stuff comes into the new addition. I don't want to have any of this clutter. So my project, in addition to getting rid of all this stuff, my project will also be creating a system that will streamline it so I never get to this point again. So that's the plan. I'm not sure how many updates I'm going to do on the actual project because I can imagine that would be very, very boring. But at the end of the month, hopefully I'll be able to show a clean desk and be able to talk about what my plan is for when the new school year starts next month. But there's my project in all of its cluttered glory. And stay tuned next week where I'm going to start getting into the core planning basics for me. Thanks so much for watching. This was kind of an off video, but if you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to keep tuned to everything else going on. See you next time. Bye.